Hello, I have another video for you guys. Oh, let me change the sound. Wait, can I just press F? Oh my god. You know, I've been playing StarCraft for roughly 2 years since its release, and I just realized that you can actually press F10 without holding control to get out of a game, or to access the menu. Yep, learn things every day. Alright, so, this is a TBT. I know I haven't been posting that regularly. Finals kind of suck, but I just finished one today, so I thought as a reward to myself, I could just sit back and play a game. I decided to actually cast this one because it was a pretty good TBT. I haven't shown you guys like a straight up macro long game yet, whether it was a pro or my replays. This is actually one of mine. We have Deathrow. He's a top 50 Grandmaster, usually, on NA, versus me, Beethoven, and yeah. So, Antigua, of course, we haven't really got the best spawns in the world, but you'll see why the spawns are fucked up in this game, you know? Give you something to think about. I actually thought that they patched this map, but unfortunately they did not yet. I don't think they ever will, really. I'm not sure if even the MLG or GSL versions, but you can siege tanks here and hit what's over here, so keep that in mind when you're ever playing against a Terran. I unfortunately had to run into that myself this game, but hope, at least, thankfully, it didn't really hinder me too much. So, I open with a macro-oriented build. My opponent does not. In case you guys remember the TBT I casted of Taeja's, that Speed Reaper Hellion build that Boxer, Taeja, Jakshi, a couple others use, Supernova a lot, he actually goes for that. And it's a really nice transition into mech, actually. If you've been watching Beastie QT's stream recently, he actually has started streaming again. I suggest if he is streaming while you're watching or looking for something to watch, try and give him a view, see if you like him or not. But he mechs a lot in TBT, sometimes in TVZ, and I like those kind of players. So this is actually a 15 gas, and my opponent is getting a 13 gas. So you'll see his is going to finish, we're roughly finishing around the same time, actually. I'm interested to see how this plays out. He gets a Marine first, I guess because of his late gas. Maybe this was a delayed decision to do this build, but he does have Reapers and Hellions, so this is the first, yeah, there we go. Alright, second gas, I wasn't crazy. So he did delay his command center quite a bit, but I think with a later gas, actually, he can get it up somewhat faster. So, meanwhile, I have gone for 15 gas. After 2 Marines, I'm going to put a reactor on my barracks. This will allow you to, that transition time until your starport gets out, you'll have 6 Marines out. And those can hold a Banshee off pretty well, even if it's a gas first. So, you always want to scout, ideally, before your barracks is done. Because if you scout after your barracks is done in TVT, what are you going to see? You're going to see a wall. And that's unfortunately the problem I run into. I do actually start to scout at 13 supply, but I scout my opponent last, and it's really not worth it to me. But what I do see, alright, this is, you need to take advantage of every little thing that you can get out of your opponent. He has 1 Marine out. I have 2 Marines out. Why is that? Because I didn't put any add-on in my barracks until after 2 Marines. He should have had 3 Marines out by the time he actually got over here. What does that mean? There's a Reaper. So, I think, I don't know if I was delayed in thinking this, but I should definitely queue my Marines over here. I do it eventually. Watch out for that. So, meanwhile, I actually have this command center. There we go. I have this command center coming down. I started this at around 20 supply. If you just constantly produce SCVs and Marines with the reactor on it, cool, everything's fine. You can get your command center ridiculously early. That's why I delay the gas a little bit. So, I'm actually supply blocked here. You should usually get that around 25 supply. I think I waited a little bit too much, maybe supply blocked an SCV. But here we go, 2 Reapers. I managed to kill one and the other gets away with 2 HP because he's a fucking hero. Meanwhile, I lost no Marines, actually. So, it's pretty cool. Here, Marine still stays alive. And here comes his command center. So, it's not horribly delayed. He gets it at around 5:30. But you see mine's already up. I have my orbital completing. He comes in here to try and see if I have an expo down. You do not want to lift your command center and put it down to the natural against this build. Don't do it. You can lose games ridiculously easy, especially on Shakuras. But the fact that I killed those 2 Reapers, his follow-up push is going to be way less damage. So you see, I could have an option to like try and kill some SCVs. Instead, I'm just want to go and get a full scout off. I see these two gas. I know what's up, and this is huge. So not only do I see 2 starports, I see the fact that he has a tech lab on the factory. So what is my response to that? Well, instead of producing any more Hellions, I think I have enough to defend this bush, right? I've been making Marines and Hellions constantly. You switch your barracks off the second your factory finishes, and put it over there. Meanwhile, I do have, in case of a Banshee follow-up, I have this Viking patrolling here. So, what is my response? I'm going to go ahead and put the starport right on the reactor here. I still haven't lifted down my barracks because he still has not pushed yet. I see the Speed Reapers now. I know exactly what's up. I get finally get a confirmation. And there we go. Some more Hellions, some more Hellions. They all die. What do I lose so far? Oh, unfortunately, his Marine does snipe that Hellion, and I hear a Marine's still alive. Does it have 2 kills yet? 2 kills. Look at that. Alright, so after defending that, I am 100% scot-free able to put down another command center, because I know he can't push anymore. And I saw the fact that he has an Expo. He's not going to follow this up with any sort of like Cloak Banshee tank all-in, which is another transition. And meanwhile, I'm producing 2 Vikings constantly out of my reactor while getting siege mode. This will defend against any sort of siege push that's going to be following up. And I know that my opponent is going mech because I played him a lot before. And it's like he never says anything in the games. So I have no handle on whether he's mad or not if he does end up losing. But it's quite strange. We always mech. We always have ridiculously long games. Actually, today, when I queued up, I was like, I'm just going to play a short match, and then I'm going to go to the gym. Well, that turned into like a 35-minute long TBT, and I still have yet to go to the gym. But I will after this commentary. And here he comes with some Viking harass. I have my Vikings patrolling here. You always want to do this. Generally, I have a barrack scouting here. I think I placed that later. But this is huge, this part right here. He lands his Vikings for harass as for Gumio. He does this all the time in his TBTs. And the STC does it too, occasionally. So a tank can really easily kill 3 Vikings. It's when you get around the number 4 that, as long as they focus fire, Vikings can definitely kill a tank. So I kill 3 Vikings, losing maybe a couple SCBs, and I keep all of my Vikings alive. This allows me to get a Raven, possibly get a Banshee, because I know I have air superiority. Why have I waited so long to place my additional factories is really because I was short on gas, while pretty high on minerals, as I decided to, this is the one thing that's going to really hurt you when you go for tanks instead of Hellions and have nothing as your mineral sink. As soon as the 400 minerals I invested in the CC were kind of done, I started building up minerals and minerals and minerals, because you don't really have that many really mineral-intensive units when you're going mech, except for Hellions. So, siege mode is done. I decided to start producing Hellions because I really need to get this mineral count down, and there's really no use to put it on. I like this placement here, by the way. Actually, in an ADD moment. Let's see. So he's finally putting 2 starports on reactors. I had no idea about this. Actually, I didn't scan his base once. I just kind of like played along with the metagame. If we take a look at the SCV count, he's actually ahead right now. I did have a couple SCVs killed throughout the game, and I was supply blocked a little bit, as I am supply blocked now. And he is actually opting for a really early Blue Flame Hellion, whereas, does he even have siege mode? Yes, he does. Whereas I just produce, I get my factories going pretty early, and I do have a 3rd CC. I did think that this was a bit early, that's why I put the Planetary Fortress there. I thought that he may go bio, just on the off chance that he did, and I really didn't want to be unprepared against any sort of 2-base timing. And, yeah. So now that I'm not supply blocked, I am getting my supply up pretty fast, and this is actually, yeah. So here you go. I like his missile turret placement here. His defense all game long was pretty good. He does have missile turrets in key locations, but he doesn't really overspend on them. And I like because his gas really isn't up to par in order to put reactors or tech labs on them. So until he gets these gases saturated, I think he's waiting a bit. Why am I waiting and letting him do this? I know he had 7 Vikings, and I really wanted that 100 energy for the secret missile, the point defense drone. So there we go. And unfortunately, he does, I think, get the snipe off on my Raven. Yeah, missile truck doesn't get Raven kill. So a bit sloppy by me, but my goal was to kill some of these Vikings, and I did so. As Vikings played a ridiculously important role in this matchup. And I sniped that tank that was killing my supply depots, so that was kind of a victory. Although my Banshee and my Raven died, I'm pretty safe right now. And he goes ahead and moves in with a Hellion Harass here. He did snipe my range upgrade, so I can't actually kill these. So I do bring in some Hellions of my own. Meanwhile, I'm floating minerals like a madman because I'm actually supply blocked at the time. Oh man, I am, when I mech, I do a goodie style. Full tilt, man. Supply depot, supply blocks and everything. So here I am actually acknowledging the fact that he gets a ridiculous amount of Vikings really fast. So I think that he has 2 starports. I'm going to throw down 2 of my own while rebuilding my Raven and my Banshee. I do need to repair these at some point. I hope I do. There we go. And because I got my 3rd down, I'm going to go ahead and add 2 more factories as well as another command center. I'm feeling pretty good right now. I mean, look at the supply. I have a 10 lead and I've been supply blocked twice. I really don't power my SCVs that much when I mech, unless I take a lot of damage. And I know it, and I need to get my SCV count back up. I try and rely more on orbitals, and you see that's why I'm building 2 command centers right now. I do finally get Blue Flame started, and my opponent is getting a 4th command center. There it is. So my scouting wasn't the greatest all game long. I do scout a little bit with the Hellions around here, but I really want to make sure I'm not going to lose to any sort of hidden base. I have my Marines that I made in the early game. I just go ahead and rally them out here, Hero Marine and all. And here comes my opponent. He's aggressing here with the Vikings, and he actually loses. Nope, just takes damage on a couple. So meanwhile, I have my Vikings all hidden. You never want to place your Vikings. If you mech TBT, never, ever place your Vikings somewhere where they can get sniped if you're not careful. So my opponent does send a Marine out there. I really wasn't sure whether or not he was pushing, so I did siege my tanks up in a defensive position. Because of these spawning positions, this is a pain in the ass to deal with. It's the same as in Tal'Darim. If you spawn clockwise of your opponent, you can really really abuse this ledge. And it's something I think that Blizzard should definitely fix. I really think that this map should be cross-spawn only, but they have yet to do so. This is a very nice siege position. He's really taking advantage of this, and if we take a look at the Viking count right now, I have 11 Vikings and 2 Ravens versus the 13 Vikings in his. Unfortunately, these last 2 Vikings weren't really able to get a volley off, and I'm okay with losing these 2 Ravens as long as I stop this push, because it's really a pain in the ass to do. Oh, I do keep that alive. Yeah. Nope. Yeah, very nice target fire by him. But he does lose a fair amount of Ravens or a fair amount of Vikings for 2 Ravens. 2 Ravens and 3 Vikings. So I'm happy with that. Unfortunately, I did need a sensor turret earlier. This push really did a fair amount of damage to me. Let's take a look, because I mean, in the army size, 17 tanks of mine and 12 Ravens to only, let's see, 11 tanks and 6 Vikings. So he does move in here with a lot of Hellions. The Hellions act more as a buffer than anything, and unfortunately I realized this a little bit too late. I do siege up right now, but it's when I bring my Ravens over or Vikings, sorry, that I really stop this push. And you need to know when to do this. I only land my Vikings for a brief period because I really want to just screw with the AI. I don't think I'm in that dire of a situation that I need to sacrifice all of my Vikings because I don't have enough tanks to clean this up. I do, and if we take a look at the end of the engagement, he does engage here, but I do have the superior Viking count. And you see here, instead of, I know for a fact that he never gets upgrades for his mech, so I just ignore upgrades too, and I go for double Viking upgrades. Here comes some more Hellions. Unfortunately, he did see the SCV transfer right when he pushed. That's what actually signaled me off in the first place. So that base getting spotted really sucks for me, as he does have one fully saturated. So right now, I would say that he's ahead. eventually, I'm banking on this really paying off for itself in the late game. But he is building another command center, and I'm kind of stagnant right now. He did kill a fair amount of my SCVs, so I'm only at 51. I was sitting at around 65 before the push, so I'm kind of sad about that. But I do have, I know for a fact I have the bigger army at this point. I still leave these 2 tanks here in order to defend against any Hellions. I don't have a wall. It's really something I should try to do, but it's so painful to get sieged up on early and lose like 50 supply to depots. So if we take a look at the units tab, actually, I still have 17 tanks to his 10, and I have a major Viking advantage. So I have the bigger army right now. I did not know this, but if I actually just pushed and moved in and probably sieged up a little bit closer, I could have won the game right here. But I just go ahead and settle for the start. This was a misclick, actually. Sometimes when you have the Viking selected and you press D, it auto-selects the Vikings instead of the Raven. But following that push, 15 tanks to 9. So we both lose around 2 tanks, but I still have all of my Vikings and he has Jack. So I'm managing to keep my my money pretty low, but I still really need the space. This push was actually so that I could take this gold base. It doesn't quite work out like that, but I don't have a Banshee right now to push any further. I really want to get up here and try and deny this third. I know he has a 4th at this point, at least I'm pretty sure he does. And here I go ahead and try and break this, along with any of my Vikings. Again, the Vikings here really don't do that much damage. They're simply there to try and tank some and screw with the enemy AI. It's the same, it's really the same role that auto turrets are used for. And I still have the air superiority, and unfortunately, despite the fact that we both don't have upgrades, the tanks that were injured got killed in 2 hits. This happens like 3 times, and it really makes me kind of angry. I do continue with my air upgrades. Unfortunately, I don't get that plating started right on time. And here you go. So I do finally take this gold base, and the one thing you have to be careful about is the fact that you constantly have vision of this watchtower for when your opponent flanks. If we take a look at my opponent, he is getting another base up, he is saturating these additional geysers, and I'm floating like I have a trust fund going, man. Oh, it's actually because I'm very focused on my command. Soon he brings like yeah, here's the bajillion, save me auto turrets. And he is producing 3 Thors meanwhile. Thors will only buy you a certain amount of time, and everybody really has to realize this. This is, I think, the major downfall in his play. He never got air upgrades, and he never, take a look at the armory, he never got additional starports, so he really couldn't keep up with my Viking production. The game, the state of mech and TBT right now, your mech, as long as you're playing versus another meching player, it's simply there to buy time for you till you get your air out. There comes a time in nearly any map where you cannot beat your opponent. Both players engage in a stalemate situation, and this is really that point. So there are a couple things that you want to do. Keep in mind that you always want to try and out econ the opposing player, and unfortunately because of this little ledge right here, my range upgrade on my... Oh no, I didn't have range upgrade, sadly. As my engineering bay did get killed, I forgot about that. But I do have full energy on a lot of my orbitals. The reason for this is actually because I really need scans. Not because I don't have air superiority, but because of situations like this. Late game TBT, you're not going to need minerals for anything, especially when you're meching. And this is kind of the beginning of the end for him. He decides to push this without microing his tanks that well, and I do have a reinforcement tank line coming in. I managed to snipe both the Thors, and with that, I can pick off these remaining tanks. I did use the Banshee to clean up these Hellions, as I really didn't want to donate any tanks of my own. But looking back on it, if there were things that I could have improved in my play, I think this was really it. If I had had 1 siege tank here, I could have had this base saturated much earlier, as well as these geysers. So he does try to push in here, and this is the point where your Vikings actually start to do damage. I mean, I have +2 attack upgrade, and they do pretty well, man. You can, especially when they get 3 armor, +3 plating is way way more viable to engage with your air fleet against ground forces. So unfortunately, he does kill this gas geyser, and that's actually pretty big. If we take a look at the gas income right here, he has nearly 1,000, and I'm stuck at around 600. So he is pushing forward with an additional force. Meanwhile, I'm always constantly rallying down here. I really don't want to get counterattacked. So he's trying to push up here again, and if we take a look at the supply, I'm vastly ahead right now because I'm maintaining my army. I'm being cost effective in these engagements. Him, not so much. And I know that there are Thors out, so I really just want to clean this up. I do put down some point defense drones. I really should have landed my additional things. There we go. Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm constantly keeping these here. You can engage up this choke. This would just be, like, ridiculously bad for me to do, ever, regardless of how many tanks I have. So I want to constantly try and get more forces up here, and instead of doing so, I think I actually commit to multi-pronged aggression soon. But if we take a look, I'm actually getting +3 plating right now. In case you're in a bind, you don't know what to get, you only have so much gas, always get plating. 100% of the time if you're in that situation. Because it helps so much against Vikings, and it also helps a lot against Thors. You'll see, I guess you'll see at some point. I think this is it coming up, but... So if we take a look, I'm getting a fusion core right now because I realize that my Viking lead has kind of become insurmountable. I constantly check his upgrades to make sure he's not getting additional starports and tech infrastructure to do so. But yeah, so that was another engagement. You always want to be really careful when you're engaging. People think mech is just a move. It's not. You really have to, when you engage into a siege tank line with just mech, and this is another thing that I had no idea of knowing at the time. I thought that there were 7 tanks here, there were only 4, and I could have plowed through this and then really just killed all of the expansions. He had no missile turrets here. My air fleet definitely could have taken his. And when I finally get this base kind of saturated, Hellions come in again. Makes me sad. In case you haven't noticed, I kind of like abate my Hellion fleet, and he is actually getting ship plating level 3. Oh no, that's me. Hey, cool. I was wondering. Alright. So he has additional tanks here, and I didn't honestly think that he was going to try and break this again. The Hellions really did well here. I didn't know, I didn't happen to notice this until it was too late. Ideally, I would have been focusing the tanks instead of the Hellions, and he does manage to take this high ground, and that really hurts. Going forward, I did actually target this Thor down, and you'll see how that played out in a second. Meanwhile, I'm getting 2 battlecruisers. Yeah. So even with a lot of Viking production, a lot of dedicated Viking production, I'm able to kill that. I really should have gone for this Thor right away, but I didn't really have that in mind until later. So he does stop mining completely. This is one of the pains of having these maps in these spawning locations, is the middle can really be contested because you're kind of both at an equal distance for it. And he decides to, yeah. He tries to overcommit there, and it really just didn't pan out for him. Ideally, he would have brought SCVs and built some turrets over here. I really would have liked that. I don't want to say it would have won him the game because I have battlecruisers out now, and I have the economy to make more. Meanwhile, I'm getting this other base saturated, and this is kind of a last-ditch attempt. I do go ahead and land these, but it really doesn't matter. So I have, if we take a look at the end, I maintain my tank lead all game long. And this is something that really allowed me to take a positional advantage. You notice that it never really impacted the amount of air that I had. My Viking count was always superior to his. It's really the 2 things in the game that you really want to take advantage of. Viking is not just for air superiority. you really need that not only to get vision for siege, but also just to go around and harass all game. There are also that like little extra bit of like the cherry on top that allows you to take engagements that you might otherwise not have been able to. And despite the fact that my SCV count wasn't great, I really think that he didn't use his resources to the best of his ability. And yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed that. I will definitely have some more in the future. I think next I'm going to go ahead and take a look at another Taeja TVZ. And yeah, unfortunately, I'm casting this, and it will probably go up over the weekend, but I'm casting this on Thursday, right after the GSL matches, and Taeja made me sad. He just got rolled by Squirtle, and that was really, really not fun to watch. So, I don't know. I definitely wouldn't recommend anybody watches those games. I don't really think that there's anything to learn from it. Either PvT or TVP. Squirtle just kind of all-in every game. He did have very good decision making, I have to give him that, but it was kind of sad as a Terran player. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll catch you later. Peace.